What does rare mean to you? For some people, it's a quality like uncommon or unique or scarce. For other people, there's a mathematical component like 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000, maybe even 1 in a million. When I was playing high school basketball in the late 80s when big hair was still cool, our team underwent a particularly strenuous practice session. After the workout, my leg muscles quit on me and I just collapsed right to the floor. Initially, we attributed this to the nature of the workout we just had, but it started to happen more and more frequently and with increasingly less physical triggering. So we visited some medical professionals, and after a while, I was eventually diagnosed with hypokalemic periodic paralysis, HKPP. It's a degenerative muscle weakness that affects approximately 1 in 100,000 people. It's considered a rare disease. For context, Tiger Stadium, where the rival LSU Tigers play their collegiate football games, holds about 100,000 people. So I would be the one person in that crowd waving the oddly colored pom-pom. I remember the time thinking, if it's so rare, why do I have it? But I will tell you, after having lived with it for several decades, my idea of what rare is has been completely transformed. In fact, living with this disease has forged my career in biotechnology, where for many years, I supported the development of drug therapies that serve people with rare disease. So we should know that rare disease does not have the benefit of widespread understanding. If someone says, I'm suffering from the flu, most of us can relate because at one time or another we have experienced it. But when I tell people that my legs are cramping because of my HKPP, I'm often unable to connect with the listeners. And this creates a barrier between people living with rare disease and those who don't. Unfortunately, this barrier also extends to the medical community. There is no globally harmonized definition for rare disease. This lack of consensus underscores the very nature of the problem. These populations are so tiny, we can't even come to an agreement on how to classify them. There's a saying in medical school, if it runs like a horse and it sounds like a horse, it's a horse and not a zebra. And of course, this teaches doctors to look for the common, simple explanations first. But what if you're a zebra? I was, and this approach delayed my diagnosis for some time. So I've seen firsthand, as both a research scientist and a rare disease patient, just how challenging it is to develop drug therapies living with these small population medical conditions. The economics are very challenging, the research is very complex, and to be simply put, the regulatory pathways could use a bit more consistency. If we continue to misunderstand the true scope and impact of rare diseases, research is going to remain fragmented, treatments are going to continue to develop slowly, and probably most important, those living with these conditions are going to continue their journeys in relative isolation. However, if we embrace the fact that rare diseases collectively represent a major public health challenge, we can transform this way of thinking. Medical schools can train doctors to be more aware of uncommon conditions. Research consortiums can inform on biologies that maybe are shared across multiple rare diseases. Pharmaceutical companies can continue to sharpen their timelines for development and eventual approval so they can get medicine to patients who need it more quickly. And of course, those living with rare diseases have the support that they really need and really deserve. Recent years have brought hope to this arena. It's not all gloom and doom. The typical diagnostic odyssey for a rare disease patient, from initial consultation to final accurate and specific diagnosis, is about 5 years. So research over the past decade has shortened this timeline a bit through patient registries, genetics evaluation, and yes, even the use of artificial intelligence. AI has become a very powerful tool because for rare disease populations that are so small and finite, every piece of information is essential. Scientific models rely on real-world information being fed into them. So every piece of data, no matter how seemingly insignificant, is a positive move in the right direction. Now, as an added bonus, the monitoring of rare disease, genetics, and proteomics has surprisingly unmasked some biologies that have impact to other diseases, such as diabetes and hypertension, whose scope is far beyond that of rare disease. The evaluation of a micro patient population has potential for macro impact. So what does this tell us? Rare disease can impact all of us. Rare disease research can benefit all of us. And maybe we can start to see that rare disease really isn't so rare after all. There are over 7,500 identified rare diseases. I want you to think about that number for a moment because it's probably more than you might have initially thought. So you probably don't know someone with my specific rare disease, but chances are very high someone in your circle, a family member, a friend, a neighbor, a colleague, is living with one of these. As a rare disease patient myself, I cannot overstate how important support is from people in my everyday life. Some of that support comes in forms that stay kind of burned in my memory, and I'd like to share with you all a rather poignant example of this. I've been training in Kung Fu for several decades, and as my HKPP has progressed, my physical limitations have clearly increased. During one of my black belt tests, my legs decided to quit on me and I wasn't able to finish. This affected my ego in a way that's pretty hard to describe in words, even though I was among family and friends. So while those who were running the test deliberated on how best to continue, I sat down on the floor with a towel over my head and I cried. The lead examiner came over, he put his hand on my shoulder and told me that I have nothing to prove, that I had earned the belt over several times. What's more, those in attendance reiterated my value to them not as a fellow student and instructor, but as a member of that community. So they all lifted me up that day, and it's clearly burned in my memory. So now we've come to it. Based on everything that I've shared with you, how can we change society's understanding and response to rare disease? Well, it starts with 3 key actions, the first of which, hopefully I've convinced you by now, is to realize that rare disease actually isn't rare. With thousands of identified conditions, their collective impact is actually quite enormous. That change of paradigm in thinking is a very good first step for society. Number 2, if you know someone in your circle who has a rare disease, inform yourself and educate yourself about it. My family and my close friends have become experts in my condition, not because I asked them to, but because they care and they want to support me properly. When they see me having trouble with stairs because of leg weakness, they don't see a woeful person who deserves pity. They know how to support me. They know how to accommodate me, and they have informed empathy. Informed empathy is important and impactful in even the most challenging disease situations. Number 3, for those living with rare disease, I want you to know that there are resources and support groups available. I'm a member of a periodic paralysis support group. We meet online on a regular basis, but also on a biannual basis, we have a global meeting where we all come together in person. I want you all to imagine something. Imagine being in a room of 100 other people who all share the same 1 in 100,000 medical condition that you do. It's profoundly emotional. It's transformational. Sharing your story with others is liberating for you, and it's very educational for those who are willing to listen. So these days, I don't walk around and ask myself, why do I have it? I ask myself, what can I do with it? And that's my final ask of all of you. I want you all to find someone in your life who's dealing with something rare, something that makes them feel different or alone. And I want you to ask yourself this question: how can I give rare a home? Thank you very much.